Roydell Williams is Florida State's new leader, and I'm about to tell you why.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We're going to be talking all things Florida State running backs, beginning with Roydell Williams, who I think is absolutely going to be the leader on the offensive side of the ball, and especially in the running back room. We're going to talk a lot of recruiting mixed with the NIL game, why it's about to be very, very important over the next month or so, all the way through signing day. And we're also going to talk about how it's divvied up by position. So let's get started with Roydell Williams. For those of you who don't know, he was just interviewed by the media, and he'd already been discussed by Coach Norvell and, quite frankly, many people around the Florida State program, all very positively. Keep in mind, he played 3 years under Saban at the University of Alabama, transferred to Florida State University, and was injured. He only got to play 3 games last year, but he kept his head up, redshirted, worked hard, and now he's in some of the best shape of his college football career. Down from 221 pounds to 215, with the objective to hitting 213 in the season. Roydell is as positive right now as it can be. A couple of moments during his podcast or his interview, I was just like, how often do we see this much positivity from a football player? These guys normally don't like going up and talking to the media all that much. They handle it, but they don't like it. He was anxious. He was like ready to go through and just run through a wall at a press conference after practice. It was refreshing. And he was very positive, not only about what he was able to get done, but more importantly, his teammates, Coach Malzahn, I'll touch on that momentarily, and overall just being at Florida State and what he believed could happen. Florida State needed the injection of positivity. If nothing else, Roydell Williams today is the most important player on the Florida State football team. After watching it again, I'd seen some of the interview yesterday, and I went back and I watched it again today, and I'm like, this is just unbelievable because we don't hear a lot of positives in this manner. Like, it's coming out of his pores. It was fun for me to watch. And again, I get to interview people all the time. There's so many kids going through the motions, it's not even funny. And you got people in the back office telling them things not to comment on or to give political answers. He was happy just to be there and be around the media. You have no idea how often us and media, we talk about like, oh, we got so-and-so today. You know, he's not going to say anything. I guarantee you that the FSU people are going to be happy to put Roydell out there again, and the media absolutely will be happy to interview him again. It's a win-win. Now, as for the details, the thing that probably caught my attention the most was the fact that, okay, yeah, he talked positive about getting in better shape. He's happy about that. But he went out of his way. Roydell talked about Gus Malzahn glowingly, who, by the way, recruited him to Auburn when he was in the state of Alabama. Of course, he picked Bama, but they had a relationship, and it's continued. He said that him and Gus get along good, and that he really believes in Gus and how he's got coming with energy every day. Very, very positive about the offense. He loves the up-tempo. He was super excited, so that was great to hear. And Gus is high on him. But he's also just really positive about everything with the Florida State offense in general. Thomas Castellanos, he had nothing but positives, talked about his athleticism and how he can move around. Again, thank you to Roydell Williams for the positivity. We need more of it in college athletics, and Florida State certainly needs a lot after last season. As for the position itself, I just want to make some notes here. I want to talk about what I think the depth chart's going to be looking like and kind of how the players can pair together. There's still a lot of work to be done, and this can change. But I think Florida State has one of the better running back rooms in the country because it's so versatile and the pieces can fit in many different ways, specifically with Coach Malzahn's up-tempo offense. So here goes. Roydell, I think, is pretty obvious that he's the starter. They put him out there. He's speaking glowingly of Gus. They have a prior relationship from the high school ranks when he was being recruited. And he was the guy they put out there at running back. That's usually a sign. You're not going to put the guy that's going to be the fourth stringer up in front of the microphone. So what does he do well? Number one, he is a downhill running back. He was at Bama. I saw him play live. That is a guy that likes contact. If you're going to play in Gus's offense, you have to be able to run in the A and B gaps over and over, take the attrition, move the chains, and be a guy that's especially impactful in short yardage. Roydell is 215 right now, and his objective is to hit 213. He mentioned that in the interview, but he just looked good. Like he had a sleeveless shirt on. I'd wear a sleeveless shirt too if I looked like that. I guarantee you. I've never had arms anywhere like that. But for Roydell, he was still anxious to get that 2 more pounds off. Again, he's really detailed oriented and he's very excited about what's going on, and it was just refreshing. But he catches the ball well too, and he's a guy that can block. When you're running up tempo, you don't have time. Oh, it's 3rd and 7. We got to rotate somebody in that can block better. No, that's not how it works. Gus isn't going to make a running back that guy. He's not going to hand the keys to the car to any player, Roydell Williams or otherwise, unless you can run, catch, and block, because they run up tempo. They can't substitute for those scenarios. You're trying to go fast as you can so they can't substitute and keep their linebackers, their base package on the field, or catch them out of alignment and get flags, because that's how you win games. Matchups, one guy on the field that just probably shouldn't, and you run a wheel route with somebody like Roydell and you score. Same thing with Cam Davis, etc. And we'll talk about all of them in a moment. But Roydell is that guy, and I think he will set the standard. Number 2 here. And this is the question mark player I have. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not sure if he's going to rise to the occasion, if it's finally his time or not. But I would really like to see Keziah Holmes make a move. He's another bigger back that could run between the tackles. He's got pretty decent speed. Can he be an all-around back in this offense? I have no idea what's going to happen there. Need to see him stay healthy too. Just want to throw it out there because it would be great if you had another guy that's a senior, a guy that's been around, a guy that's seen it. It would be good for Florida State and also help some of the younger players in the offense. So let's talk about that. Cam Davis, sophomore, got banged up a lot, got thrown to the Wolves last year, downhill, 220-pound running back that can also run 22 miles an hour. When you have guys like that, by the way, he's a great receiver out of the backfield. When you have guys like that, having leadership, Keziah, Roydell, some of these players, it's different. They have the ability to help him in ways with technique, being around it, game situations, to discuss things that will help him. I think Cam takes a big step forward this year. I think Roydell will lead in carries and yards. He'll probably run for 800 to 1,000, something like that. But Cam Davis has a chance, if he's healthy, to be the number 2 running back. Him or Holmes, I imagine, will be as the true power backs. That could be a dynamic situation because you have 3, really. If they're all healthy in big games, that'd be great for Florida State. And they can all feed off each other. Next is Sam Singleton. How are they going to use him? I would use him some at the slot because I know he can catch. They wouldn't put him as the kickoff returner if he couldn't catch. Yeah, of course, he had the 95-yarder for a touchdown last year, so he definitely has plenty of speed. How do they use him? Are they going to use him more in 2-back sets? Going to use him some in the slot like they will Jalen Lucas? Or are they going to use Sam just sparingly and more in a passing situation? Because there's only one football. I get it. But they have to find a way to get him on the field. Next, and this is the one that I talk about all the time, Jalen Lucas. Slot, running back. They might be in 4th and 1, and they might put him in the game just to throw a team off, run option with him. Thomas Castellanos with the football, run speed option. You got one of the fastest guys who's a jackrabbit in the backfield as your option pitch man. That's not a fun guy to tackle in a one-on-one situation. I'll take Jalen more times than not. And finally, you got Chroma, the freshman coming in from Lee County High School in Leesburg, Georgia, an elite player that grew up right down the road from none other than Cam Davis. So a couple Central Georgia guys there. But loaded, I don't think there's any doubt Florida State has one of the best running back rooms, not in the Atlantic Coast Conference, but in college football. They just got to find their niche, make sure each guy knows his role, and they all feed off each other. And again, Roydell has kind of set the bar. The press conference today was absolutely tremendous. When we come back, we're going to talk recruiting and specifically how NIL is going to be very impactful. We got the House settlement coming up, got the ruling. It's supposed to happen this week. And we're also going to be discussing something else very important with it, how the money with NIL is used positionally. I'm going to give my prediction on that coming up here real soon on Locked On Seminoles. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast, coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Florida State recruiting keeps grinding on. For one thing, they have the number one class in 27, according to Rivals.com. They got 4 really good players. So they're certainly doing their due diligence with the underclassmen, and they're lining up visits. I just want to mention a couple of notes here and then kind of dive into the NIL aspect of it. Because, again, for those that don't know, all this stuff they've talked about with colleges having to spend X number of dollars with regards to NIL and their direct payments to players of all, not just football. This is across everybody's athletic department. That's supposed to be voted on, I believe it's April 7th, so that'd be next week. And that also means we're going to get a little bit of clarification. The number I was told is $20.5 million for an entire athletic department. We'll dive into how much Florida State will spend on football at a later date because I need to get more information on that. But I want to give my take on the positions here in a little bit on how that's going to break down. But first, just a couple of notes. First off, Derek Cooper. I did not expect this. I thought he was going to kind of narrow it down to Georgia and Miami. Derek Cooper out of Chaminade Madonna, I think is the best running back in the country. He has lined an official visit up to Florida State. Just talked about running backs. Here's another one taking a visit. So got to give credit to Florida State. I mean, if you get him on campus, you got a chance. I still believe he ends up at Georgia or Miami. But the OB, when I saw that come across my screen, I'm like, I didn't see that coming. One of my buddies in the recruiting industry had just called me, and I'm like, did you know about this? And he's like, yeah, he's taking an official visit. We'll see. So hats off to Florida State for keep grinding. Secondarily, another running back, Carson Baker. That's a kid I didn't think Florida State had that much chance with, but he had a really good visit. He's going to come back for an OB. And the team that I thought he was originally going to end up with, and talking to some of my buddies that cover Georgia, was the Bulldogs, but they don't seem to be the team now. Clemson and some other programs are involved, Ohio State, etc. Let's see what happens with him. But Carson Baker is out of Langston Hughes High School, which is just south of the airport in Atlanta, and he can fly. That's a big-time high school program he's at. Everybody in the country recruits that school. That recruits the state of Georgia. It's one of your first stops. It's 20 minutes from the airport, so it's easy. But that is an elite football player in terms of his athleticism and especially his track ability. By the way, he might run track literally at the college level. So when I say elite speed, I mean that literally. So Florida State's getting it done at the running back spot again. As for the rest of recruiting, there's a ton of different kids setting up visits. Pay particular attention, not just to Florida State, but just kind of overall, who's setting visits and who's visiting where over the next couple of weeks. Any of Florida State's competitors, whether it's Miami, Ole Miss, Auburn, Georgia, if they're not at Florida State, where are they? Pay attention to other message boards or anything else, and I'll try to keep some people in tune. But the next couple of weeks, you got spring showcases, even if they're private and they're not televised. We all know about the portal and the coaches being paranoid about that. But that is really important. Florida State's got several guys coming in, but they don't have everybody. Where are the other players going? Got to know that. Now it's time for something I've been trying to work on for a long time, and this is just my projection. I kind of want to get started on it, and then I got 4 questions that I want to ask. I'll kind of give my take on it, and I want yours as well. with the House settlement, again, there's $20.5 million each year at all the like TV money and all the expenditures that you get part of that cut or from apparel and parking and all that stuff. These athletic departments, they got to spend 20.5 this first year. It'll go up every year, by the way, to the athletes. What percentage do you spend? Think of it as like an NFL team for each position in Florida State. This is my take, and everybody can have their opinion. If you want to comment on it, think I'm wrong, fire away. I'd love to hear what you have to say on YouTube. We can get a discussion going. That's fine by me. First position I want to talk about is quarterback. This one I could see a lot of people looking at differently than I do, but I think it's 20%. Now, you got to remember, that's 3 to 5 guys on your roster. It's not a very big number. So when I say 20%, you might be out of – well, Brian, why wouldn't it be higher? It's the most important position. It's because it's only 3 to 5 guys that are on scholarship on any given year. Usually it's probably going to be 3, maybe 4. 5 would be a rare exception if you have a walk-on that's like a preferred walk-on kind of deal. But those are going away with the new scholarship thing. So I guess it depends on how you want to grade that. But I'm going to say 20% of your roster's NIL goes to the quarterback position. Here's the caveat. If you have a super, like Jordan Travis was, if this had come at a time and Jordan was going into his last year at Florida State, it'd be higher than 20% for that year because Jordan would have earned it. I totally get it. This is a barometer for an ordinary year at any given position, just to be clear. I'm just going to go down the line here of the most important positions, top to bottom, in my opinion. Defensive line, also 20%. However, there are far more defensive linemen on a roster than there are quarterbacks. Young players aren't going to make near as much upfront money as what like a quarterback could. Just keep that in mind. DB, I got it 15%. Similar to D-line, but you can move guys around there. It's not quite as valuable straight out of the high school ranks because you can take a running back and move him, a receiver and move him, a quarterback and move him, and it'll work out. So it's easier to fill that spot, so D-line's a little bit more valuable from a recruiting perspective. O-line, same thing, 15. This is a very unique scenario in today's world because you look at the portal, you could argue this is higher. There aren't very many guys that come out that are any good and get in the portal. Not an offensive line, especially offensive tackle. But most of the guys don't ever play. You have about 14 to 16 guys. 8 of them will make a dent on your roster at one point in time or another. So again, kind of like some of the other spots, may not get paid a ton up front, but the guys that earn it, they'll make a lot more. Running back, I think this is a spot along with receiver, you could, depending on your team, you could get anywhere to 5 to 10%, and it might depend on the year. Like this year for Florida State, it might be closer to 10% because they've got so many good guys. But in a lot of years, it might be 5%, even at Florida State, because wide receiver has become the more important position. It depends on your perspective, but those two positions kind of go together. The reason I give the edge to receiver is that usually you've got a star player that's a game breaker that can overcome the fact that the other team has a bunch of elite D linemen, hike the ball, one step back, fade ball. Those D linemen are eliminated. That's how you beat another team out recruiting you. One receiver can dominate a game sometimes. So I think that position is more likely to get paid more consistently, Florida State or anywhere else. Next, tight end. I think this is a position that's a little bit undervalued in some ways. The problem is it gets hurt a lot. Tight ends, shoulders, knees, everything, they don't last a long time. I think it's about 5% of your roster. Linebacker, 4%, and then special teams, 1%. And I've got 5% for variable, just kind of overall. Linebacker, I think, is the least valuable in today's game because everybody runs spread and linebackers are exposed. They're kind of in a tough spot. You almost have to use big safeties at linebacker in a lot of situations, depending on your defense. Although Florida State is going with some bigger guys like Elijah Herring. We'll see how that works this year. Also, if you look at special teams, you can't just forget about that. Think about where Florida State would have been if they didn't have Mastromano and Fitz last year. They were all Americans. They put Florida State in some good positions in terms of field position, kicking the ball between the uprights or punting the ball 50 yards, 60 yards down the field, whatever. They really helped the Noles. Don't forget about your special teams guys. So just wanted to share my thoughts on that. When we come back, I'm going to give my 5 questions and opinions on them about how you pay guys in special scenarios. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. For instance, when you use Monarch, you can realize just how much money you're spending on things like Ubers, food delivery, and all those little things that add up and take away that bank account that you thought you had. Secondarily, and in conjunction, you can also look at that from and under the umbrella of two people. Whoever your partner is, have it under one roof with Monarch Money, so you can have all your personal accounts right there, easy for you to set goals and keep the money in your account. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. I have a few questions that I'm going to ask, and I want you to give your best guess. If you're on YouTube, reply. I'm curious what you think about this, but this is how an athletic department, a coaching staff, a general manager, a recruiting coordinator, all these people have to think about this with every single scholarship they give out. These are all going to impact each other. It's kind of like strings pulling Pinocchio or anything that you think of that you're in control of. A computer, like if you put one piece of code in, it's probably going to impact something else. A million different ways you can look at it, but it's not easy to do this stuff with roster management. So can you pay, in terms of big money, not one, not two, but three quarterbacks on your roster, big money at a time? I say no, and here's what I mean. Starter obviously makes the most. That's not hard to figure out. But the backup is the next guy. Let's say you got a junior and a freshman, and they're making money. You got two guys, no big deal. But that junior comes back, you got a sophomore, and you hit the home run and get a really good recruit too. That's a freshman. Can you really pay three? Depending on what you mean by pay, but if that kid's making $1 million or more as a freshman, this third team, yeah, I don't know if you can do that. Very few schools can. There has to be a special situation. Take like Arch Manning out of the way. I heard he got like $10 million to go to Texas. That's a once in a 50-year player because of his family name and all that. Most kids can't make that kind of money and it be justified. Every player is a business investment. So two quarterbacks are probably all you can pay, barring a very unusual circumstance. Second question. Paying upfront money. This is the one that I've talked about a lot, and the more feedback that I get from 7-on-7 coaches, trainers, recruits, college coaches, anybody I talk to in some way, shape, or form, this is a hot topic. You're seeing less and less of it. Too many schools, I ain't going to go into detail, but too many schools spent money up front and got burned. Some of the kids didn't even sign. Some of the kids got money illegally up front before they signed, and they said, you know what, screw you, I'm going to another school. I know a few of those kids. What's the school going to do? Turn them in because it's illegal? They would get hammered for it. It's just a bad idea. So with that being stated, I think you're looking at a scenario you're going to see a lot less of that. These coaches all know each other, even if they're rivals on the sidelines. Upfront money is going to be few and far between. There's going to be a lot more scenarios where guys are going to have to earn it, and they're going to have to sign certain things they have to do to get it. Community service, academics, showing up to class, how they treat the media. Anything where there's a camera involved, especially, there's a certain bar to reach. And that also includes their family, having people around that aren't causing problems, pushing for more NIL, threatening to transfer. All those kinds of things will be held accountable. And, of course, on the field play and how you treat your teammates in the locker room, all of that is in consideration. So upfront money, some of it will be there for certain very elite kids at very elite positions. But, again, exception, not the rule. And as we move forward, you're going to see less and less of that from the collectives that aren't the school. They're going to be like, you got to prove it if you want to play for my school. You got to show me that you want that, whatever sim, Florida State or anywhere else. If you want to wear that, you want to wear that helmet, that jersey, you got to prove it to me. You're going to see more and more of that and hear more stories about it. Number 3, instead of spending money on guys coming in from the portal, high school ranks, or junior college ranks, I think you're going to see a lot more of guys being retained. Michigan did it. Ohio State did it. You're seeing guys stick around in programs that may have been able to leave to go to the NFL. And the reason is simple. They're making good enough money in college. They pick up their degree. It's the guarantee to play. And also, they have a chance to put one more year on film before they go to the NFL Combine and try to get drafted. So you're going to see that. More loyalty. Again, it's an extension of the last part. Loyalty is rewarded. People that earn it get paid. So question 2 and 3, they're just very basic, but they go together because you're not going to be getting screwed over year in and year out. You got to earn it to get paid. Finally, the house settlement in itself, what is it? Just to reclassify this, you have to pay these players now per the government. They're going to come down to a number. I was told it's going to end up being $20.5 million. We'll see if that's the actual total. I think Florida State in the major big box programs, roughly 2/3 of the money will go to football each year. Now that'll change if you've got a team that's got a chance to win a title. They're not going to admit this to people, but the years that they really have a chance to win a title, let's say it's in a few years, that'll be $25 million. So we'll use an easy barometer here for percentages. Florida State, let's say in 3 years, they got a chance to go all the way. They might go up over 75% with that NIL or that money that's allotted. Plus you got the other groups too, the Battles End, et cetera, that are going to work in that direction. They're separate. But the house settlement is what the university spends, and they're obligated, but they get it disclosed, I guess, how much internally. Okay, basketball gets this, volleyball gets this, football, et cetera. I think in years that Florida State thinks they can win a title, they'll go over 75%. So you can go out and get a defensive end in the spring transfer portal window, or you can get a backup quarterback in case your next guy in line is only a freshman. And if your starter gets hurt, you want to get through a week or two, you get a guy that's at least play, gives you a chance. You might have to overspend, but if you pick up that L, you're out of the race. So if you don't overspend, look what happens. Like this past year, I don't know if many people saw this, but Ohio State was over $30 million in the red. But that's what it took to win the title. You don't overspend, chances you win it all are pretty low. Finally, just an overall point about this. This is evolving. Every day I learn something new about NIL and the house settlement, how people take it. I get little bits of information from different people every day. Somebody in the recruiting industry in some way, shape, or form, whether they work for a college, a recruiting site, they're a player, they're a coach, they're a trainer. There's always something. Until we go through a full year of this, we're only guessing. This is my projection, nothing more. And I hope you enjoyed it, but it is extremely complex and it is fluid. We'll see if Florida State adheres similar basics on how they play their positions and stuff. We'll get some of these totals in some capacity down the road, but we don't get the exact numbers. I don't think we're ever going to get the exact contracts. That's my opinion, because some of these kids, when they sign, they're not even 18 yet. But again, that's another story. So once again, thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you again soon.